Wake up, Jacob. It's me, IP, and if you're rocking with the tribe, like, share, subscribe. And in this video, we'll be talking about concubines. Do we really want to talk about this? All right, dealing with the subject of concubines, we're gonna have to get into some definitions. And let me warn you, the definition has changed and evolved over the centuries. And we'll go back to the Bible, but I want to look at some of the other definitions that are out there that are outside the Bible. Some are pretty close, but some are very wide in meaning and interpretation. So let's take a look. If we look at dictionary.com, it says a woman who cohabitates with a man to whom she is not legally married, especially one regarded as socially or sexually subservient. A mistress. If we look at the Merriam-Webster, the definition says a woman with whom a man cohabitates without being married, such as one having a recognized social status in a household below that of a wife. If we look at yourdictionary.com, it says the definition of a concubine is a woman who is a mistress to a man with a wife or who cannot be married to her because of a difference in social status. Then we can also look at vocabulary.com, and it says here a woman who cohabitates with a important man, simply someone who cohabitates with an important man. So as you can see, it's the definitions are pretty wide. Some of them it's seen more, it's an honorable look considering a concubine, and some it's like, hey, it's just a mistress, a home wrecker, an adulteress, and things like that. Okay, so we're gonna look at a few things in that. Let's look at a few biblical examples. Now, concubine, from a biblical standpoint, if we look at concubine in Genesis 25. And if I go right down to verse 5, you see the word concubine. And in the Strong's, it is pelagesh, right? Which is simply concubine or paramour, okay? It's a concubine or a paramour. Now, there's other places where you will see a concubine. For example, if we go to 2 Samuel chapter 5 and verse 13, and I'll drop down to, let's see here, that's the same Hebrew 6370, but then if we go 15 and 16, so 2 Samuel chapter 15 verse 16, you have concubines. Let's see here. We also have in the Hebrew, you have H802, which is Isha, which simply means wife. So you have two biblical definitions in the Hebrew where it is Pelesh, which is a paramour or concubine, and then you have the other one, which is simply a woman, a wife. Now, if you want to see some of those biblical examples, of course you can go to Genesis chapter 25, and you start at about verse 1 and then skip down to verse 5 and 6. You can also, and that's with Abraham, and you can also look at David at 2 Samuel chapter 5 and 13, or chapter 15 and verse 16. And as far as Solomon, you want to look at 1 Kings 11 and 3. And finally, if you want to take another look at Abraham, you can look at 1 Chronicles 1 and 32. 1 and 32. Now, the next thing we need to deal with is, what are modern day concubines? What are modern day concubines? Well, to put in a word, a side chick. Usually, you have men out there and they have mistresses or side pieces or side chicks or friends with benefits, or we have so many different terms. We have so many colloquialism that I'm starting to lose count, right? And it's really someone who you are having sexual relationship. You are actually carrying on a relationship. The difference is the main wife, the principal wife, may not know about it. They just don't have any idea about it. And in some cases, the main wife, they do know about it. They just don't want to talk about it. Don't bring nothing home to me. I don't want to hear about it. Don't embarrass me. You know, just keep it undercover, keep it in the dark. So this whole idea of concubinage is going on today. It is happening. Now, it is done unrighteously, it's done wickedly, it's done nefariously. It has a bad look for this idea. However, there was in history a place in society for honorable concubinage, right? It does actually happen. It just depends on the culture that you're looking at. Now, in this American culture, now, does anybody want to outright admit, hey, they're a concubine, and say, hey, I'm a concubine? Of course not. It doesn't sound good. But many of them don't mind being a side chick or a mistress, or what some people may call it, a homewrecker or something like that. There's women out there who have devious and nefarious plans, but as soon as you mention something that has some honor attached to it, then they don't want to do it. So you got to look at it from that perspective that, there is some unrighteous concubine and there is some righteous concubine. The next question is going to be, well, what makes a concubine? Who decides to be a concubine? Who wants to be a concubine? The answer is quite simple. Your choices. As far as the female. See, no man can really hereby dub thee a concubine, right? Not technically. I mean, some guys may do that, but no one can really hereby dub thee a concubine. It is your decisions that make you a concubine. For example, if you are a person and you've been married multiple times, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, you have multiple baby daddies. I mean, you got 7 kids, 5 different baby daddies, and you're just going from relationship to relationship to relationship. Your actions alone make you a concubine. No one puts that title on you. Your decisions put the title on you. That's what you are. You're a concubine. You're not in first wife, principal, virgin. You're just not in that territory. You're just not that. You're just not cut out for that. You've already made a lot of decisions that disqualifies you from being first principal wife. Now, if some guy wants to hold you in that regard, that's fine. That is up to him. But what does the Most High think of? What would he call you based on your actions? What would he call you? Second thing is, it doesn't mean that it's a punishment. Now, I'll give you an example. For example, if you were married and your husband died, you were a widow or widow indeed, doesn't automatically make you a concubine. You can be a wife, a wife. I mean, a lot of times concubine, wife, there's like different statuses and things like that. It just means that you don't qualify for first wife position. But again, your decisions made that for you, not a man. I know a lot of women will be upset at this whole idea, and I'm not going to make a whole lot of friends. And again, I'm trying to be as respectful as possible, but it really comes down to your decisions, the decisions that you made. Now, how does someone come to be a concubine? Now, in modern day terms, concubine could be, for example, a mail order bride, right? Could have a mail order bride, and that's a concubine. They want to come over here and get citizenship or something like that. But we in Israel, we really want to stay away from the government license, marriage license and stuff like that. We really want to kind of shy away from that because, we want our relationship between us, the woman, and the Most High. So we want to really stay away from that sort of arrangement. We just want it to be between those 3 entities, man, woman, Most High. Right? But there are some other ways as well. For example, we don't do this very much at all, but a war bride is typically made to be a concubine. Could she be a wife and stuff like that? Yeah, she could, but she may typically be a concubine. Well, why? Because her faith is not that of the husband just yet. She has not completed the assimilation process, meaning she's not just like her husband. Remember, Solomon had a lot of concubines, and in the end, the wives, the strange wives and concubines, they turned his heart away from the Most High because they never assimilated to him, okay? He was just their retirement plan, basically, if you will. One of the benefits of a woman being a concubine today, because a lot of them, they feel like, hey, I made some mistakes. I was with this guy. I was in the world. I was under a Roman marriage. Yes, I have 3 or 4 children. What about me? What happens to me? Well, all hope is not lost, okay? A concubine, for all intent and purposes, hear me clearly, is a wife. Okay, a concubine is a wife. She's not first wife or principal wife, but she is a wife. All right, we have to understand that. We have to get that through our head. It is a wife. Okay, go back and look at those scriptures that I referred to earlier in the video. That is a wife. Okay, now one of the benefits is that if you do get with a Hebrew, righteous, God-fearing man. If you get with a God-fearing man, Torah observant, God-fearing man, you can have family structure for you and your children. You can be grafted into the vision that the Most High give that man, and he can have you as a part of his household, and then your kids could have that example of leadership, example of being a husband. They can have a father figure, and they can definitely have a guide. Okay, now I will tell you, I will warn you, not many men are really stepping up today to be stepfather and things like that, because it really is a thankless job for the most part, and it typically doesn't work out. However, it is possible, and there are some guys out there who will take that chance. Okay, just don't be discouraged, because most men don't want to have anything to do with raising another man's child. And hey, that's how it goes. Another benefit is that you are following the protocol. You're back under that protocol. Y'all know that image of the young brother was the father in Christ, and husband and wife and children. You're following that protocol and in order. And one of the things that the Most High loves a lot is order. He loves order and protocol. So when you put yourself in order under protocol, and you humble yourself and you submit yourself, then you're well on your way to being blessed by the Most High. And also remember, we know that a wife and a concubine, the difference could be like a concubine is a wife that doesn't have any inherited rights. For example, you have this wife and she's had the patriarch's children, has his firstborn son or subsequent sons or something like that, and then you coming in being, a concubine, and you already have 2 or 3, 4 children or whatever. You're coming in and you're not going to have the same exact inherited rights as that firstborn. We can't have that. That will break what Torah wants a man to do for his firstborn. So you're not going to have the exact same inherited rights. But if we remember what happened with Abraham, to the sons of the concubine, he gave gifts, things that when he was alive, whereas the wife, obviously, when he dies, he leaves an inheritance for the wife, children, any of the children that is his. He's going to leave that because that is his job. That's his duty as a husband and a patriarch. Now, you can be grafted into that blessing while he is alive, and he can gift you and he can set you up, and you can be well taken care of. He just has he has to have a plan in order to have you well taken care of. And remember, promotion comes from above. You come in, humble yourself, assimilate to the family, contribute to the larger vision, and your promotion will come from above. But you got to have a humble heart and a willing, loving, submissive spirit in order to do that. Now, I really hope this has been helpful, but if you have any other questions or anything like that, please put it in the comment section below, or simply email me, which is foibiblestudies@inbox.com. You have my thoughts on it. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. Put it down below. And in the meantime, like, share, subscribe. Don't forget to get notified. Smash that notification bell, and I will see you guys on the next one. Israelite Prepper.